Hey y'all, Editor Z here. I found this footage lying around from a school project a while ago and figured I'd touch it up and post it so that y'all could see it. Hope someone enjoys. It's a fun connection to a class that almost broke me and one of my favorite hobbies. Enjoy! When I was 8 years old, I walked into Lodestone Games in Minnetonka, Minnesota with my mom. After talking with the person behind the counter that held some of the store's most valuable playing cards, my mom was handed a box and sat down at a table. Inside that box were 2 star decks of Magic the Gathering. The employee helped us learn and we played our first game within an hour. And from that day, I have never looked back. In the last 8 years, I have played Magic on and off. In that time, I have learned to play 3 different formats, played with hundreds of people, made several friends, and collected more cards than I would like to admit. This has given me a pretty good idea of the background of the game of Magic, and has also given me a look into the culture that surrounds it, which we will dig into later. Before we go any further, there are a few terms and words that you should know. Lands. Lands are the backbone of Magic, providing mana, the resource used to cast spells and do pretty much anything in the game. Spells. A spell is everything else, whether summoning a horde of goblins, harnessing powerful artifacts, or messing with the flow of time. All of these are spells. Colors. Magic is built around 5 colors, each representing different strategies and ideologies. The intersection of these colors creates new playstyles and groups within Magic's story. With my somewhat robust knowledge of Magic and my ongoing studies of chemistry combined, I started to wonder what parallels could be drawn between my hobby and my homework, such as how would I throw a massive fireball in real life? How does Merit Lage get out of the ice? How can we counterspell real reactions? How hot is the hot soup? How unlucky is
Why
lightning?
the heck did they retcon
Who
Chandra's
the hell
sexuality?
thought the One
Why
Ring
is
was a
one
good idea
rabbit
in literally
with
any
an increased
format?
inheritance
When
worth
do I get
more
to play
than
literally any more Magic?
13
I have not
massive
played
fire-breathing
stats
dragons.
pieces.
Goodness, I need to
Please.
get out of the
Why are
house.
all the universes beyond
I swear
one-sided?
I'm going to punch
Why
the
can't I
next
play
person
Chandra in
who
Fortnite
counter
yet?
spells.
Phew, let's take a step back and see how we got to Magic in 2025. After over a year of playtesting, overhauls, and tweaking, game designer and mathematician Richard Garfield, PhD, working as a teacher at Whitman College, released Magic's first set, Alpha, in 1993, under the company Wizards of the Coast. In this first set, there were weak cards, powerful cards, and cards whose rules made no sense. It was shortly followed by a reprint and tweaking in the form of the beta set. In the ensuing year, many developments would come to Magic, such as the standardization of rules on deck building and cards of multiple colors, as well as the first Magic World Champion being crowned. In years following, Magic would gain regular competitive events in the Pro Tours and continue to expand its library of cards and its growing cult of fans. In 1999, Wizards of the Coast was bought by the toy conglomerate Hasbro, which led to much growth and several instances of fans butting heads with the multi-billion-dollar company. By 2006, over 1 million sanctioned events had taken place for Magic, and the Pro Tour had created a Hall of Fame to hold its most skillful magicians. By 2010, there had been over 2 million events, several new types of cards added, and over 60 different sets. Now, 31 years after its release, Magic has more than 29,000 unique cards, tens of millions of players, and arguably the fastest expanding universe in gaming. In its growth, Magic has expanded to many groups and places. Magic is a hobby that is highly focused on Western markets. This is because of the high monetary cost of cards, decks, and that cards are only printed in select languages such as Japanese, Chinese, French, Italian, German, and Portuguese. Magic, as I mentioned before, has created its own culture and has influenced the wider cultures around it. The community that has built itself around Magic is a complex one, with many people playing different formats, often building jokes and routines around the ways of playing the game that might not be understood or appreciated by others. Magic itself has its own rules and culture around playing and talking about the game. Many elements of the game are known to be played in certain ways for the benefit of all parties involved. Magic has also appeared in many cultural touchstones, such as South Park. Magic has an impact outside of the cultural spaces it touches. The making of magic cards also impacts the environment. Magic cards are made of paper, and paper comes from trees. The paper from one tree can make around 20,000 magic cards, but hundreds of thousands of magic cards are printed each year. Once they are made, they are wrapped in plastic, create packs, and shipped. As we know, the process of shipping things around the world is disastrous for the environment. An issue that arises from the booster pack system is that if someone is searching for a rare or valuable pack, they may buy 20 plus packs, each one of those in this plastic wrapping that is glanced at for 30 seconds and then thrown away to end up in a landfill somewhere. Now it's time to get down to cold, hard chemistry and start answering some of my earlier questions. To answer the first question I posed, how would I throw a fireball, as seen in such creatively named cards as Fireball? For this, we are going to have to go to the magic of Ren Fairs and David Blaine. The practical effect of a fireball is achieved with flash paper. Flash paper is, according to Vanishing Ink, a company that specializes in the material, a very thin paper that has been specially treated with specific chemicals to make it vanish in flames. Flash paper, or to call it its scientific name, nitrocellulose, is made in a reaction of cellulose, C6H7O2OH3, and nitric acid, HNO3, and some sulfuric acid acting as a catalyst to give it a kick. After the reaction is complete, it will lead to the monster compound of C18H21N11O38. This compound is very volatile in heat, which leads to it creating the effect of a large and fast burning fireball when it is lit. Now we move from the searing heat to the icy oceans of dark depths. As Merit Lage melts out of her frozen prison, we can consider the chemistry of melting ice. Ice melting is a physical change, meaning that water remains water, just in a different state. This change is an endothermic process, meaning it requires energy, often in the form of heat, to occur. Now let's move away before she finishes thawing out. As we escape the avatar of the ice, we move on to one of the most iconic spells in magic history, Counterspell. But how can we counterspell real reactions? This can be done through reversible reactions, a reaction that, once it has gone through enough of its processes, starts to move back to the products. For example, when iodide, I2, and hydrogen, H2, gases are combined to form hydrogen iodide, 2HI. However, once enough 2HI is formed, it starts to decompose and thus undo the reaction. Now, away from blue control cards to soup, more specifically the card Hot Soup from Corset 2015. When this pot of goblin soup is spilled, it immediately kills the carrier. This may not be mere broth, as the instant killing of those who touch it is unmatched by almost any liquid I could find. The closest comparison was the toxic nerve agent known as VX. If you had a large pot of VX and it was spilled on your skin, the dire effects would be felt in as few as 2 minutes. These effects could include muscular twitching, paralysis, being unable to breathe, and death. One of the body's molecules that it uses to send messages is acetylcholine, which attaches to the body's receptors and is then cleared away by the enzyme acetylcholinesterase to prevent the body from being overloaded with signals and shutting down. VX prevents acetylcholinesterase from working, which leads to the body being overwhelmed and causes the neurotoxin's deadly effects. The goblins sure do have interesting taste in food. Editor Z back. Hope you had lots of fun watching. I enjoyed revisiting this and getting to edit it down again. Please subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a lovely day. Thank you for your time.